Salut à tous. There's a certain sadness on the faces of people who passed by here in Saint-Denis near the Stade de France this morning. It's all, of course, because of the result in last night's match. France losing to England in the semi-final of the Rugby World Cup. So, it's over for the 15 de France. Let's take a look now at how that result was greeted by their many supporters here in Paris and beyond.
I think we made too many kicks and that cost us dearly. And then, well, if we're talking about luck, the English always seem to have the luck that we don't get, especially at the end of matches.
The game was I was so nervous. I didn't actually see it. I was just like telling her. To win. When we won, I was just like, I'm so proud, just proud. That's good.
So this then is the defeat which brings an end to France's participation in this World Cup, but it also brings an end to an era in French rugby. Starting, of course, with a change of trainer. Bernard Laporte will leave his job with the 15 de France right now and take up his new role as a sports minister in the government of Nicolas Sarkozy. Interesting times ahead, of course. Here's a look at what might happen next. Bernard Laporte now has to walk away from the World Cup. For him, there's a fresh start. Sports minister in the French government.
C'est du grand art, et chaque essai est transformé en bonheur.
But it's au revoir to highly paid adverts and au revoir to the 15 de France. And au revoir to selling signed shirts on the net. Laporte's various business interests coined him some €600,000 per year. Now it's a case of working more to earn less, to misquote President Sarkozy. As for the players, it's back to basics. They return to the clubs who reward them well for their services. But for the supporters of the 15 de France, the fallout of this World Cup failure could be huge. This was to have been their tournament, putting France at the pinnacle of the sport. Instead, it's left a boulevard of broken dreams. And in business, the song remains the same. The impact there could be huge.
Well, on the overall economy, the impact should remain limited. According to most analysts, this impact should be between 0.1 to 0.2% of gross domestic product, so that remains quite small. Now, on rugby itself, it's huge. First on advertising revenues, derivative products, also on the number of people who actually play rugby. And looking back at the example of the Football World Cup, when France won the Cup in 1998, we saw a huge increase in the number of football players in France that resulted actually in French football players becoming world stars and French brands becoming, of course, very famous all around the world.
Yes, the footballers know the taste of homegrown World Cup glory. The rugby players can now only watch from the sidelines. The second semi-final takes place here at the Stade de France tonight. It's South Africa versus Argentina. Now, South Africa, the Springboks. What can you say about them? Well, fantastic rugby tradition, of course. They crushed England 36-0 in the pool stage of the competition. And in Brian Habana, they've got one of the most impressive try scorers of this World Cup. How about the Argentinians? Well, less well known, perhaps. Lots of players, though, who play in France. And, of course, an equally strong grasp of the game. Here's a closer look at the Argentinians.
Argentina have been a real breath of fresh air in this year's World Cup. With a following wind and the tactical scheming of coach Marcelo Lofreda, the Pumas have reached the semi-finals for the first time and sprung to global prominence. Once one of rugby's minnows, beating France in the tournament's opening match showed just how far they have come. And now they stand one famous victory away from a place in the final, even if they're careful not to get ahead of themselves.
We're not looking that far ahead. I think before that we've got a huge match to play against South Africa. And just maybe, at the end of the game, we'll be able to walk off the field wearing a smile.
Back home in the land of Maradona, football is king. But rugby captain Augustin Pichot has become a more recognisable face thanks to his team's exploits in France. Another win over South Africa, and just maybe they will be dancing in the streets of Buenos Aires. When we asked about the Springboks, giant prop Juan Martin Scelzo showed us that he hopes all will go well. Touch wood, he's another player taking each partido as it comes.
South Africa are a very good team. They're very strong and very aggressive. That means it's going to be a tough match, and it should be a very good match.
And Argentina's potent mix of forward power and towering up and unders might just prove enough to upset the Boks.
So there you have it, the big match here at the Stade de France tonight. South Africa versus Argentina for a place in the final. Of course, give us your views on that and every other issue in rugby on our blog, which is on FRANCE24-EN-Rugby-october. What a competition this has been. What a final we have in store. Semi-final, of course, tonight at the Stade de France. So enjoy the rugby, enjoy the match, enjoy the result and the celebrations afterwards. Whatever happens. See you tomorrow.